Good morning. Okay, so we're going to continue working with percents, but now we are going to solve percent problems by using equations. So we all know how to solve equations. We do the inverse operation to get the variable isolated. So we're going to look at our rules first. Turn the percent into a decimal immediately. When you're reading the problem, the word of means to multiply. And is always where your equal sign is going to go in your equation. When you see what number, that means to use the variable n. When you see what percent, that means n%, and you will have to move the decimal. So I'm going to show you exactly what all of those rules mean as we're going through the problems. Write an equation and solve. Show all steps. Okay, so let me see if I can. Okay, so we've got our rules at the top and the problem at the bottom. 90% of what number is 45? So the first thing it said, sorry, let me choose a different color. Okay, it says turn the percent to a decimal immediately. So 90% is 0.9. Of what number? Remember, it says of means to multiply, and what number means n. So we're going to multiply. Now I don't have to put 0.9 times n. Oops, I'm sorry. Times n. When you're multiplying a number times a variable, you don't have to put the x for the times. So this means 0.9 times n. Here's my is, that's where my equal sign is going to go. So equals 45. So we just wrote the equation. Now we're going to solve the equation. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right, to solve the equation, we draw the mirror. You are going to find your coefficient. Your coefficient is the number that you're going to divide both sides by. So show me that you're dividing the left by 9/10 and dividing the right by 9/10. 9/10 divided by 9/10 cancels. You're going to go to your calculator and divide 45 by 9/10, and that answer is 50. So over here, we're going to say n equals 50. 90% of what number is 45? So what does that mean? 90%. Let's say that you get a 90% on your math quiz. 90% of what number is 45? So that means you would have gotten a 45 points correct out of 50 to score a 90% on that quiz. That would be the kind of problem that you're solving. All right, so what number, that's your n, is your equal sign. Immediately turn the percent into a decimal. 40% is 0.4 of 60 times 60. Of means times. So you really can just write the equation going exactly along with the words and or symbols in your question. N equals 0.4 times 60. So now all we have to do is the math on the right side of the equation, since the n is already by itself. So we're going to do 0.4 times 60 on the calculator. N equals 24. What percent of 20 is 17? Remember, is where your equal sign goes. So something equals 17. What percent? So n%, if you go back up to the rules, remember where it said what percent? If you see those words in the question, what percent means n%. So n%, what percent of 20? N% times 20 equals 17. Draw your mirror. Divide the left by 20 divide the right by 20. 20 divided by 20 is going to cancel. N equals, go to your calculator and divide 17 by 20. You're going to see 0.85, and that's 85%. Notice with the first two problems that we did, the question was what number and what number. So then we just had 50 and 24. This question is asking what percent. You have to include the percent sign with your answer. So if you just put N equals 85, that would not be correct because it's asking what percent. N equals 85%. All right, so you can go ahead and pause the video and try the next 4 on your own, and then restart the video after you've tried those 4 and see how you did. Okay, so let's check and see how you did. So remember, what number means N. Is where your equal sign comes in. Immediately turn the percent into a decimal, so 80% is 0.8. And then of means times 120. Draw your mirror. N is going to stay over here. Go to your calculator and multiply 120 times 8/10. And your calculator should say 96. Now this was what number? So this is just 96, not 96%. 40%, immediately turn your percent into a decimal, so 0.4. Of means times. What number is your N, your variable? Is your equal sign, is 2. So I'm actually going to, I wrote the times just to make sure that you guys understand that's what that means, the of means times, but I'm just going to scooch my 0.4 over here right beside the N. I'm going to draw my mirror. I'm going to identify the coefficient. I'm going to divide the left by 0.4 and divide the right by 0.4. 0.4 divided by 0.4 cancels. Go to your calculator. 2 divided by 4/10 is 5. And again, this question was asking what number? So that would be my answer. N equals 5. 72, you're just writing exactly what the question is asking. is where your equal sign comes in. What percent means N percent. Of means times 36. So identify your coefficient. The opposite of multiplying by 36 is dividing by 36. So we're going to divide both sides by 36. Everything on the right side cancels. We still have N percent equals 2. Now, the question is asking what percent. So N percent equals 2. Remember the number 2 is equal to 200%. So N equals 200%. 62.5% of 40 is what number? Immediately convert your percent to a decimal. Percent to a decimal, we move the decimal 2 places to the left. So that is going to be 625 thousandths. Of means times 40 is your equal sign, and what number is your N? Draw your mirror. Calculate on the left. 625 thousandths times 40 on your calculator should be 25. So your solution for that one is N equals 25. All right, why in the world are we doing this crazy math? So we can solve problems. A school raised 150% of its fundraising goal. The school raised $6,000. What was the goal? Remember, so we're writing and solving equations for all of these problems. So to write an equation, you have to have an equal sign in the middle. Remember when we were in our equations unit, I said the total amount always goes on the right side of your equation. So something equals $6,000. Immediately convert your percent to a decimal. 150% is equal to 1 5/10. 1 5/10 times what equals 6,000? Draw your mirror, identify your coefficient, divide both sides by the coefficient, go to your calculator and divide 6,000 by 1 5/10. The question was, what was the goal? And we're talking about money, so be sure and label this answer with a $sign. N equals $4,000. Last one, AJ was assigned 15 math problems last night. He completed 40% of these while in class. How many does he have left to do? Okay, we got to look really carefully at what we're doing here. He was assigned 15 math problems. He completed 40%. Question, how many does he have left to do? How many problems? Not what percent, but how many problems does he have left to do? Okay, so if we're going to write an equation, we have to have an equal sign. 40%, immediately turn your percent into a decimal. 40% of the 15 problems assigned equals how many? Go to your calculator and multiply 4/10 times 15. N equals 6. That's the number of problems that he completed. Question, how many problems does he have left? Well, he was assigned 15 problems and he has completed 6. Answer, 9 problems left. All righty, that's all, folks. I will see you later.